Hello folks, this is Dr. Taylor and I'm developing a video to help you with your final project, your final lesson plan. And I hope you find this helpful. Use this as your reference as you get closer to the week 12. Here we are in week 12. This is exciting. We're looking at the finish line. You're only a few short weeks away, so it's important to really heed what I'm sharing. In week 12, there are 3 different sections that you will upload some type of video or document to. The first section is the final project video and peer review. Okay, the final project video is the operative word here, and actually this is where you're going to upload your link or embed your link, your URL, in the discussion board. You're only to upload a link. Do not upload anything other than a link to your final project. And the link should go directly to your final project. This needs to be uploaded by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Why? So your peers can do a peer review. They were assigned, each of you are assigned 2 students, 2 of your peers, to do a formal review, which you will submit into a Dropbox. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so the discussion board is the first place you submit. I'll be using that for the video too, so you don't have to submit your video anywhere else. I will use the videos in that same discussion board for my grading purposes. The assignment for the final teaching plan. This is the sentence outline. There is a template that you will be using. I'm going to open that in a minute. Please use the template for your sentence outline and also the second part of the project, which is a self-reflection piece, which will be in essay form. I did give you a sample lesson plan of a student who used VoiceThread. The student did a fabulous job incorporating all the strategies that we learned throughout this course. The lesson plan outline includes these 7 items, which I'm going to review in detail now. This is the second piece of the final project, which is the self-assessment reflection. Self-assessment and reflective practices are huge in teaching. I self-reflect all the time. I reflect on every course I teach. I reflect on every module I teach. I look at what worked, what didn't. I look at the groups of students. Sometimes I have large groups. Sometimes I have small groups. And there are different projects, assignments, discussion boards, which work differently within each type of student and group size. So these are things you need to reflect on. And these questions are the questions, there's 5 questions here, that I expect you to answer in an essay form within that, on that same template. And that will be, that Word document will be uploaded to this assignment area in the Dropbox. And then the third item, excuse me, here you are. Yeah, here it is. The third item you will be uploading into the Dropbox is the peer critique. And there is also a Word doc template. And these are the assigned critiques. So you can open that and see the 2 peers that you were assigned to critique. Okay, now that I said all that, let's open the lesson plan guidelines. This is essentially what I had just said. The goal of this project is to present a teaching lesson plan on any topic relevant to healthcare. I approved your topics. I gave you my input. And as a teacher, you will be evaluating that presentation through a peer evaluation component. So you're teaching in your own project, and you're also evaluating and providing peer feedback. Each person in the class is given 2 presentations to formally critique, and that's the peer assignment that I included in that area. Now, important, again, the deliverable is a sentence outline, which is the Word document, and a 15-minute video. Should it go over a few minutes, that's okay. I recommend keeping it within 15 minutes. If you're like me, anything beyond 15 minutes, I tend to fall asleep. On Sundays, if I have a long-winded pastor giving the message, they just lose me after 15-20 minutes. Also, if you use Screen-O-Matic, which is very, very convenient, it is free, but only for a 15-minute video. So you may want to do something like that. And if you go over, just go down and, condense your presentation. Take out all the fluff. Just the facts, just the facts. Within the introduction to the lesson, it's important that you make a note, provide a pithy statement on how you linked subject to theory, and explain the presence for choosing the teaching strategies that you chose for your project. This is a lesson plan outline, and I'm going to go into it in more detail. I told you about the second section, which is the self-assessment reflection, and that self-reflection and analysis lead to improvement in teaching, and that's important to note because, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's going to greatly help your teaching practices moving forward. And these are the actual questions. And be honest, folks, I'm not expecting a perfect presentation. I'm expecting you to provide a presentation that includes all the elements in the outline, that incorporates educational theory, and incorporates the teaching strategies that we covered throughout the course. So there's 5 questions for self-reflection. I expect you to address all 5 questions. And remember, this is an evidence-based project. So when you address, yes, you're evaluating yourself based on the literature. So you need to provide the evidence, okay? Please credit the sources for your ideas or opinions. Video guidelines are, I said them, I wrote them. I'm not going to reread this all the time. I will tell you this. I suggest taking a few minutes to decide on the technology that you will be using. Guys, this is important. I strongly suggest that you go check that technology out first. Trouble with technology is not an acceptable excuse for a late assignment. I'm pretty lenient when you have issues. I am not lenient for this final project because you have enough notice and leeway to be able to produce a quality video within 15 minutes and be able to upload it without difficulty. This is 21st century student-centered learning in the digital age. You need to know how to do these things as an educator. All right, so this is the detailed portion of the final project. The objectives. The objectives, what are you trying to accomplish with this lesson? Be sure to use Bloom's taxonomy. That means action verbs. You'll notice that the video that I shared as a sample, her action verbs are very clear, explicit, and to the point. The teaching theory. Please link your subject to a theory. Explain the premise for choosing your strategy or strategies chosen. In other words, let's say you chose the constructivist theory. Describe what you're going to do quickly in your teaching strategies to evidence that you use constructivist theory. That's a little tongue twister. Behaviorist theory. Social learning theory. You may be talking about nursing presence. So social learning theory and role modeling may be something that you want to discuss. Content includes, this is in your outline, includes what will be covered in your presentation and why it's important, and use the evidence as needed. Methods, activities, experiences. How will you present the material? Is it learner-centered? Is it interactive? What activities will students engage in? Will you use clickers? Are you using lecture? Are you using discussion board? Are you using problem-based learning? Jigsaw method. Assignments. Are you assigning homework, a discussion board, or another activity to reinforce learning? Assessment. How are you assess learning? Now, I know you didn't fully cover assessment yet, but we did briefly cover assessment, and it is in your Bradshaw text. So please give some kind of blurb on some type of assessment on either pre, during, or post. You will also find it helpful to include a note section as a reflective piece, and this will allow you to jot down improvements for the next time. Now remember, if you do this video and there's areas that you didn't like, that's okay. Put that in your reflective piece. Say, you know what, I noticed that I didn't ask questions. I noticed that I didn't pause to find out if the students were retaining or absorbing what I'm saying. So, and that is absolutely fine, and you just give your strategy on how you're going to improve next time. None of us are perfect, but what we do have, are tools to know how to make revisions and how to engage in the process of continual quality improvement. And of course, the self-assessment reflection is down here. I went over that already. Okay, so let's open up the peer critique. Here you go. So this is the other document that you will be submitting. This is a Word document, so you can write in the document. You can highlight, circle, whatever you want to do for these particular scores that you're giving. The student reviewing, so you're going to put the student that you were assigned, the students that's assigning, and of course the peer that you're reviewing. Write that peer right here. You have 3 choices. Accomplished very well would be a 3. That would be the most. More emphasis or clarity needed, and not observed, which would be number 1. And you can see the different categories. And this will help you go through these categories before you do your project and see if your presentation meets these elements in this feedback critique form. And at the end, I want you to give a summary of comments, what went well, what suggestions you have for that particular peer to improve skills, methodologies, etc. And again, evidence-based. Back up your claims with the literature. So you want to go into week 12, look up all this information that I provided for you. And of course, you might want to open up the sample lesson plan to get an idea of, again, this student did a very nice job. There are some areas that I felt could have been improved. However, I want you to determine that for yourself. The peer review critique form is a good way for you to critique your own lesson plan before you even get started and understand what you need to be including in your video. Lastly, remember, this is hypothetical. So you can have hypothetical students, virtual students. You just say, this is the class I'm teaching. I understand that things are a little different when it's in the cloud. So we're just doing a lot of assuming here, but make sure you explain your hypothetical situations. I hope you found this helpful, and as always, reach out with any questions in the Ask Your Instructor blog. Thank you.